Welcome, Atlanta United family, to another episode of Resurge Spike ATL. Here with our usual host, Tommy and James, and we have once again here Tyler Pilgrim from Dirty Soccer South. Glad you're able to join us again, man. These guys,
Okay.
you can follow them on their Twitter accounts. Let's go Ducks 96 for Tommy, Kyle Don't Miss 26 for James, and ATL Pilgrim for Tyler. So give these guys a follow. They're always putting out Atlanta United content as well. So just something else, as well before we start off. Now that football is getting back and a lot of guys, are into betting and all this, so you could go to Price Picks and you get a 100% deposit match if you use the code FILA-SP. So basically, if you put down $50, they'll give you another $50, 100% match deposit match. So I know a lot of guys into that are into betting. So now getting into what we're here for, and that's Atlanta United. Just we kind of like a little quick recap. I mean, we faced
We
the
just talk
bottom of
about
the
this
table.
all day. Let's talk about this all night. Last night never happened.
I mean, we played what this weekend against like a bottom of the table DC United, and surprisingly, Atlanta United was able to get back. After being down a goal twice, so that was surprising. But again, bottom of the table DC United. So, Tommy, I don't know if you want to say something about it.
I'll be the glass half empty. We allowed 2 goals against a team that hadn't scored in 3 games, and didn't have their best player. Right? Am I wrong there? Yeah, I know. I'm wearing it. I wore it for you.
A win's a win.
So
look, all the negativity needs to be saved for the show. Okay, we got plenty of negativity on that show.
you could look at it a couple ways, because I know Eric Quintana stopped by and was talking with us last night and said the team doesn't have fight. And I could make the argument that they do. They came back against Columbus twice, right? They were down. They tied it. Mascara scored. Sorry, I had to bring that up there, Tyler. But then gets disallowed. And what do? They come back and they tie it again. They go down twice on DC, and they come back and they win a game. They lead the league, I am pretty sure, in goals scored in the last 20 minutes. It's either the 15 or last 20 minutes plus stoppage time. They do have fight in them, but they didn't score in 5 games. I'm sorry, that's even worse. But they do have fight, and you like that, and that's a positive that I'm taking out of that, and that's pretty much about it. Like they don't. Last night they gave up. I'm fine with it. They were outmatched. They have a game on Sunday that they need to win against a team that technically should be more winnable than what it was last night. So I'm okay with that. But there's really not too much to take out of it. I don't know. But the one thing I will say is, how does Joseph able to move so well in one game, and then the other ones he looks like a completely different player? He looked like a good Joseph. And I know that Joseph, I don't even know. I don't even know what Joseph anymore. It gives me
Probably
headaches.
because he's too busy telling the refs to go suck one. I know y'all saw that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I went back and watched.
Yeah. Damn, Tommy, they're literally throwing like shit at.
But I came here for my 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna disappear.
Not matching anything.
Hey, but when it comes to like the fight that you guys or that Tommy you're bringing up, yeah, you could argue that yeah they have shown more of it recently, but I don't know, man. When it comes to like the mistakes that kind of led up to the goals last night, kind of going into the game against Philly. It's kind of weird to me because, like, I mean, it's the same thing over and over. You have individual mistakes. It's not something that you're kind of, it's something new. Basically, we've literally seen it throughout the whole season. So we're not able to outscore. Obviously, teams like Philly. They're good defensively. I mean, pretty good goalie as well. So, I mean, in my opinion, I just don't think that the team overall just has any type of cohesion. I don't think even like I don't think the fight is really like an argument at this point. Like in my opinion, that's just what I think.
How many times did they salvaged a point? I mean, those goals that they're scoring at the end of these games, besides the one I can think of where Joseph scored like what in like 1 minute left when they were down by 2 at that point. I think like, ho Chris, they I mean, they have gotten. It could be way worse. They have managed a lot of points. They managed a few wins, but mostly they've been draws where they've come back and scored late. It's there, I guess, but you like to see that they're not quitting. But again, it's just something small. But my biggest problem with yesterday is there was at least 2 or 3 times where they had an odd man rush coming up and they all just stopped or they slowed down and nobody knew what was doing what. And go back and look at the old Atlanta United teams. Everybody knew where everybody was going to move, and it's still, we were sold on for how long? Wait till Joseph, wait till Almada, Moreno, Aruju, they get a ton of playing time together. It's going to look like a well-oiled machine and goals are going to be flying in like crazy. The goals have been better than what they were last year, but they don't look like they play with each other. They don't look like they practice. It's usually one person's great effort that allows a goal in. I mean, the rebound was nice yesterday. That Gutman came flying in and dolphined in the goal, but it's just too many times where it doesn't look like these guys work together. And even on the center back part, the center backs don't always work together well, and it's just frustrating.
James, you want to give any on opinions on?
I just feel like, recently we've just chose one half to really play well, but I feel like with yesterday, the more that I kind of got in depth with it, I don't think Pineda's changes really put us in the best position to replicate the performance we had in that first half, especially when you sub off Franco Ibarra for Marcelino Moreno. It just, if you liked how you played your system in the first half, which we played really well, the second half, the only chance was that Caleb Wiley play to Almada, which he hit it over the bar. It feels like we just throw the kitchen sink, and it happened against the Red Bulls game, and obviously didn't go well. It just doesn't fit, and we lose like cohesion in the midfield. We just lost everything, and to the point with Tommy where we had that break and nothing happens is because there's just too many guys, and they obviously don't fit together, especially when you throw them all on in the game like that. And I don't know, it's just the drop off was very confusing. You go from 11 shots, 5 on target in the first half, to ending the game with 5 shots on target. You didn't do anything in the second half. I just feel like the changes didn't fit how we wanted to play that game in the second half. Especially against a team like Philadelphia, DC United, yeah, you can throw those guys on there, but against a good team that can break you down like that, it showed again that those weren't the right guys to go into the game because they didn't fit. Sometimes it's better to not throw the attacking and put guys that are more central, but that's my take on the only one good half we had yesterday.
Yeah, so my thing about overall, like, earlier in the season, it was funny because everybody was joking around and they were like, man, Pineda takes forever to make subs. And now he's doing the exact opposite. And he's literally throwing everybody out. Yeah. And it's like, I understand he wants to, kind of unleash the hounds and let the attack run and do all that. But the moment, and it's not one individual because all the subs looked pretty rough, minus maybe Dom Dwyer. And that's not saying much. But like they came on and the team couldn't complete a pass hardly in the final 30 minutes of the match. They just looked terrible. And going back to what Tommy was saying earlier, they can't put together a 90-minute performance. And there's a lot. It's not just one thing. You can't pinpoint one thing, but there's so many little things that are just all melding together into one giant cluster. And yeah, I mean, you go back to the DC match, and it was good. I mean, they showed some fight. The team has fight. I mean, you go back to the earlier part of the season when who was it, Montreal in Atlanta, when they just fell apart, and then scored like what 2 golazos until like 5 minutes left, and scrounged out a point. But I mean, we should have seen the signs then, I guess. But you can't rely on that. We said that then. You can't rely on that kind of stuff. But the team just doesn't have any chemistry. They just don't look well together. And then you bring on the subs, and all the chemistry that was there is completely gone.
Yeah. Speaking on the subs, I pulled it up here that Martinez came in about 5 minutes before they scored the 3-1 goal. And then after that was when Mascara and Moreno came on. I just feel like even putting in George Campbell at center back or, Amar Sejdic in the midfield would just be something that's helpful before we go down 2 goals.
I would have actually, and I meant to mention this yesterday, but I almost would have put Campbell in. If we were going to swap out Ibarra, put Campbell where Ibarra was at.
I mean, he played that role last year pretty well.
Yep.
Those are the guys that are gassed. I mean, the defense, it showed because they could just break us down so easily. And I mean, why not? You have 5 subs. We did use 4, but I don't know. I think it's silly when you do 4 attacking subs in a game, especially when it showed that the guys were just gassed.
Yeah, and I mean against Philly as well. I mean, we mentioned that. I mean, they've got the most clean sheets, I believe, in MLS. At the more they're tied for it or something like that. Or I'm not sure if that changed actually. Since Gutman scored that yesterday, so I don't know if that changed. So, but I don't know I'm pretty sure somebody talked about this yesterday on Twitter Spaces, but I mean, with Rocco, I mean, I'm pretty sure some fingers have pointed at him. I mean,
no,
just
not
one thing.
No.
Yeah, I just didn't want to say everybody, but I mean, I'm pretty sure somebody's got to defend him, right?
Even his staunchest defenders would have trouble with at least one of those goals yesterday. Arguably a couple of them, but it's just, I mean, I don't know, man. It's so freaking frustrating because the only guy that we have behind him is a guy that, and I know that everybody looks at that video and they say, oh man, that looked really bad. And I understand that. Like, that's not the point of the video. That's not the point of the drill that they were running where that video was caught. Godinho just kind of like floating around, not doing anything. But if you're part of a team that is really, really desperately trying to make the playoffs, and you really, really want to try to make it to Qatar somehow as a Mexican goalkeeper for your national team, I would probably be putting forth all the effort I could, no matter when it was. It doesn't matter if that drill was designed for goalkeepers or attackers or not. It's a chance for you to show something.
Ooh, I love this question.
Yeah.
Anthony's just rocking it with this one.
Oh, let's do it again.
I got to stretch before we do this one. In a perfect world, you're getting rid of at least 5 to 6 players.
No chance, though.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you take losses. I asked the question in one of the chats today, like, are certain people's salaries too big for a team to take on, right? Like, you transfer them for a very minimal fee, take the hit on it, but they take the salary. I don't know. I mean, we, put up Zilfs there. Like, so Rocco Rios is not coming back. He's not going to be here next season. He's on loan. So I worst case, and this is absolute worst case, they extend. No, because Brad says he's going to be back. So no, I don't. I mean, I don't know. We've heard rumors that Brad's ready to play right now. If he's not getting robbed at the moment, like maybe he can. Maybe he can.
It's messed up.
Play. But Rocco's not coming back next year. I think that's absolute zero chance at this point. Rossetto is my number 1 player that has to go. He just has done absolutely nothing since he's joined the club. That's not preseason. So he's number 1 on my list. I know there's people that are going to disagree, but Franco's my number 2. I think there's someone cheaper that could do what he's doing. The individual mistakes by him is just been too much. he was. I didn't expect to say that at this point this year because of how well he got better at the end of last season. He looked top notch, and we were expecting to get that one. And then since the moment he first started the Colorado game, he's just been mediocre. I mean, we're talking about salaries, Zilf, and if we're talking about salaries and the production that we're getting, we're not getting. You could go get someone a lot cheaper to do exactly what he's doing, and he makes okay.
Like Parada, maybe.
I mean, and Parada's even, he's not perfect. Like he's
No.
not.
He was terrible.
Yeah. See, I think you get rid of Franco, and it depending on what formation Pineda tries to stick with. Parada, actually, I would prefer for him to become like a backup. I know we got Campbell waiting, but if we're going to have two true center backs, Miles, hopefully he comes back well, obviously, but that's true. But Miles, and find somebody that can do everything Franco can do for much cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know much to say on it.
I think like pretty much everybody kind of agrees like on the top 3-4 guys like Rossetto.
Well, who's three for you? I mean, we brought up two. We brought Rossetto in there. Who's your three?
No pressure.
Joseph Martinez.
Yeah.
He's gotta go. He's gotta go. We cannot. This team cannot move forward until he leaves. It's every game I walk out of it. I didn't even care that he scored a goal in that game. He's gotta go. Aruju surely like if you said to me you can get rid of one player right now out of the DPs, it's got to go to free up a spot for X player. It's got to be Joseph. He doesn't have it anymore, and it breaks my heart every time I say it. But that's what it is. He's got to go.
We have another number 9 situation as well with Ronaldo Cisneros. I mean,
he runs a lot.
Oh my God, I hate this team.
We've literally subbed him off early, probably the last 5 matches, and we continue to start him. I'm gonna look, but I mean, it's so dead, man. I'm done with Joseph too, like you said. I was trying to give him a chance, but I mean, Pineda doesn't even want to give him a chance, really. So I think we need to move on. But it's gonna be such a tough window because you're gonna have literally a new president. We don't know what's gonna happen to the front office. Pineda's staying, that's fine. But we just don't know what's gonna happen. And I doubt that we have the offseason like we expect to sell all these guys and then buy replacements that are just as good. That's the one confusing thing for me.
Well, you got to think about what you can realistically do. Like everybody's always going to play what we want to do, and it would be nice, to be able to go and dump most of the loans that we have right now, and then move on from guys like Rossetto. And I mean, we've still yet to see what Hyman's going to bring back, and you're paying him a ton of money as well. I mean, he did take a salary cut, that's nice, but you're also injured at the time, so like I appreciate it, and I do feel like Hyman can be something, but you've got a lot of guys like him. I mean, Moreno. You're paying Moreno like $300,000 less than you're paying Hyman, but both of them fit into the squad back when it was 2020 and early 2021, and they just don't. They're not fitting right now.
Yeah,
the identity's not there. So whatever moves they got to make, that's why the president needs to come in. They've got to make that decision before they do friggin' anything. And because if they don't hit on the president, then they're going to miss half this transfer window, and we're going to go into next season with a whole bunch of question marks.
Yeah. And on quick note on Cisneros, the last 6 matches, he's been subbed off around the 60th minute. And the only match where he didn't do absolutely nothing is the goal against Seattle Sounders. Every other match, nothing, subbed off around 60 minutes.
His first touch is awful. And like, that's the thing. He does a lot of things okay.
Yeah.
But he can't receive a ball to do anything with it. And I'm not trying to be mean, but like, I watched him take a touch yesterday in that match that any professional soccer player is gonna take with their eyes closed, and he dropped it and gave it away. And I was like, dude, what? Like, why are we? But then, like, who do you replace him with? Like, is it just do you go with Dwyer and have him start? It's tough.
And we don't know if he can. We don't even know if Dom can start.
He's also suspended.
Yes.
Who is?
Dom Dwyer.
Oh, you got a yellow?
Yellow card
Yellow
accumulation.
card.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But I'm not even mad at it though, because
Yeah.
somebody has to show some attitude somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, those have been literally all his yellow cards this season. So.
Yeah.
Were you impressed after the first 20 minutes of that game yesterday? Like after the first 20 minutes? Like,
Yeah.
Okay. And I wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy because
I thought for 40 minutes they played fairly well.
Yeah.
They played better than Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of, going back to what we mentioned earlier, I mean, the fight's there. I mean, they went up. I mean, they went down a goal, 5-10 minutes later, you equalized basically, and it wasn't until like those like dying moments basically of the first half that you kind of like lose concentration. And I mean, you could kind of say the same thing about that first goal. I mean, that wasn't like that after, or like, I think it was that play that Pineda got shown a yellow card or something like that, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because
Man.
and then they lost everything. That was also when it looked like Almada hung a bird to the ref, and they turned right around and scored right after that.
Pineda was, I mean, I'm glad that Fox Sports has them mic'd up like they were. You just heard him yelling. And I think he gave an FU at one point. My wife was like, I'm pretty sure he's saying FU. And I'm like, oh. I mean,
I'm here for it.
He's complaining a lot more. But you know what? There's been a lot of bad calls this season. There has. And he's definitely feeling it, and he doesn't care at this point to complain. And whatever, it's going to get him fined. It's going to happen, but
he went off on him last night. I mean, he's like you said, I think he's beyond the I'm going to get fined thing. Like, it is what it is at this point.
I mean, what he said to the media, what the last game, not the DC game, I think it was the game before that, obviously because we won, but there was something on the lines of like, you need to be critiquing the refs as much as you critique me. Like, I don't know if that's how it works, but bravo for trying.
I mean, my article I wrote after that was pretty much me dogging on the refs, and then I put their quotes in there. That was a frustrating one because that was Columbus. And there were so many things going on with that game that were just off.
I mean, officiating is always going to be bad.
You can't blame last night on the officiating either, though. Like, they just have not played.
I've given up. I used to yell at foul calls, but I remember the refs don't care. So
yeah,
these players are starting to call the refs out too, and as you start seeing guys from other leagues coming over and like prominent players, right? I mean, they're getting vocal about it. I don't think there's ever really going to be a change in this unless all of a sudden they just come out and say that they're working harder on getting the right call. But like VAR is a joke in MLS right now. The refs very, very rarely ever go against their call that was on the field. Like I don't know. It's a lot from here, but I got to run. I got the 4th pick in my fantasy draft. We lose 2-1 against the Timbers. Breaks my heart, but
yay.
Yeah.
How much we losing? How much?
2-1, not 21-1. 2-1.
No. I thought you said 4-1, but cool, man.
I mean, it was both midweek games, so like people were on there like complaining that like why did we start all of our lineup? Like we had a couple people last night that were like asking that, and you have another team who's got a midweek game, so you don't have that advantage, right? And they had to play all the way to the end because they won 2-1. It was a close game, so love you too. But it was, I mean, it is what it is. They tried for the point. I respect them for that. I respect the change that Ibarra came in over Sadich, give Sadich a rest. I think he'll be better in a Portland game as opposed to a high pressure Philly game. Sadich just hasn't been good against when he gets a lot of pressure on him. So I think that was the right call by Pineda. Yeah, I'll see you guys next week or on Spaces.
Yep.
Cool, man.
With Park and Greg.
Hey, everyone, go Ducks.
All right, man. So there was, I mean, some people have been throwing some comments on here, or kind of just been chatting between.
You go back to that one about Boca. We can talk about Boca if you
Or what do you guys think of Tata's comments last night? That was another thing.
Man, you know what?
I liked
man,
it. It was inspiring, quite inspiring. He's like,
You know
we're
what?
gonna be
What kind of hurt me
extraordinary
about
next year.
because I actually did watch the second half of that game. I was like, I need to stay away from Twitter, so I just need to I need to do something else. So I started watching that game, and man, they go down and everything. The game ends, and literally everybody screaming Tata out, and what up, bro. And like, given the fact that this is happening in Atlanta, it's like, bro, that's so odd. Like,
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah. But like I'm just holding out hope that like the last time Tata said anything about Atlanta United was when Frank de Boer was here, and after that everything went downhill. So I'm hoping this is like the reverse. Now he talked about Atlanta again. Maybe it'll bring the juju back and something will happen. But I mean, it is weird in Mercedes-Benz Stadium to hear them, chanting "Fire Tata."
Yeah,
It's
I
crazy.
liked how they met with Pineda's staff, though. That was nice to hear about. And he also said we're going to be extraordinary next year, so that's quite helpful. But I don't know. I mean, of course, Tata's going to like what Pineda does because he's fellow countryman. But I mean, that's just another topic. But
so going back to the Boca comment that somebody said on here, Nicole, I mean, she said she's a founding member and she hates to say it, but the team is now trash basically, and Boca's, needs to be shown the door. I'm pretty sure 99.9 of the fan base could agree with this, and we're hoping that miracle happens as soon as the new president is appointed, because I really doubt if they actually know what's going on or what's been happening with the club, with the front office, in recent years, or technically since the beginning. They have to be informed of what Boca has kind of been or kind of done with the team. And I mean, you could argue that some of the moves were just not up to him. Same as well with some things that he's done well. But overall, I feel like he's kind of been more of like, how can I'm trying to put it in the right term. Like, he's just been a guy that's kind of been steadily kind of learning on the job. And I was actually watching Alexi Lawless. He mentioned something on here, not on here, on Twitter earlier, that he was saying I mean, Pineda is the guy that they brought in, a young coach that doesn't have any experience. They also have brought in players that are young, don't really have a extensive career. So when it comes to them being just a bold club that they're gonna go after big things, I mean, Atlanta United's got to basically change the philosophy that they have as of now. I mean, whoever comes in technically has to come with new ideas, new staff, new just everything overall. Just bring a different vibe or a different, I guess, call it culture, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think it's frustrating because a lot of people, I think, look at what happened in 2019 as unforgivable. And it is frustrating when, he got rid of basically what was left of the 2018 squad for really stupid reasons. Now, I mean, we now know that. Some of it was pride. Some of it was, I don't know, maybe thinking he was doing the right thing. It's hard to say, but you look at basically wiping out the rest of that squad, and a lot of people saw it as unforgivable. Well, he's had almost 3 years now to fix it and hasn't. And so, and then that's not to mention the other stuff that he's just not the guy. I don't want to say he's a poison to the club, because I'm not, in the front office every day doing that kind of stuff. But you look at the decisions that are made public, and it's just, and some of the ones that aren't made public that are to the media, and it's what are you doing? You're making some terrible decisions. And I'm not saying everybody that he had his hand on has been a flop. That's not true. But you can't dismantle an entire team. And everybody wants to go back to the, the salary rules, MLS, blah, blah, blah. No, you could have kept some guys. You could have made it work. There were ways around it. It was not that you had to just dump everybody to try to bring in new people. That's not true. So I don't know. I think they got to move on from him. But the problem is now he's got, he just got a new contract last year, so they would have then, not that money's an issue, but then they got to pay him everything that he's owed if they want to dump him early.
Yeah, I just think we need something fresh. I don't really have much to comment on it because, this league is very difficult. It's hard, but I can tell the decisions were bad. I mean, I felt like this summer, though, overall, the signings this summer were good, but I just don't think they probably were necessary. We're still looking for a playoff push, but, I like the Edwin Mosquera signing for the future, but maybe, the Parada loan or that other stuff for trying to save the season wasn't necessary, but it's difficult, but I don't have much to say about Boca because I don't really know the whole story. I don't like to get involved in that because Boca out it's annoying to me, and I agree with it, but it's just I don't know. I've seen it for 3 years now, and I'm just ready to get somebody new, but it's a difficult job. I can obviously.
I feel like every time we see hashtag Boko out, even more flourish on Twitter and social media, it's like when the guy gets a new contract extension, it's like it's like we're supporting the guy or something low key, like damn. But you guys were mentioning playoffs. With everything that has played out this season, everything that's happened, bad results, injuries or whatever, we're still 3 points below playoff line. How crazy is that? Like literally.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy, but I was looking at the Western Conference too. I thought they were, I don't know, like the Eastern Conference is super close, but I didn't realize how close the Western Conference was now as well, because there's 3 points between third place and eighth or something crazy like that. So, but I mean, the thing is, that's what's so frustrating. It's like either go in and because your fate is entirely in your hands at this point. Like you can do it. You're getting opportunity after opportunity that you probably don't deserve, and then they just keep throwing it away. And it would almost be less painful to just pull it out and be done with it. And then it's not as much of a, it's the hope that kills you kind of thing, I guess. But they got a chance.
Yeah, I mean, if we make it, then that means we deserve to make it. And it's just like last year. We felt like we got hot and we had a chance, and then we had to play in Yankee Stadium. But I would love to play in Yankee Stadium this year with the state of that team in New York. I mean, I don't know what's going on up there, but yeah, if we make it, we'll go to Montreal, we'll go to New York, or play the Red Bulls. And I don't know, if we make it, I feel like it's definitely we'll be a little bit on a hot streak because that's gonna have to happen. I mean, but 6th and 5th place pushed up. It was 36 points for 5th place on Saturday before Orlando City got that lucky win on Sunday, and now Orlando are literally 9 points ahead of you in 5th. So it's difficult, but Orlando's got a lot of matches to play because they still got that Cup final. And then we play them, a week after that, a couple weeks after that. So,
yeah.
I mean, that Orlando team, that's 2 straight games that they pulled in Atlanta United and scored in the last minute. I mean, it's crazy. But I mean, the results have kind of held for you, but I see 3 teams up there that we still have to play: Orlando, New England, and Toronto. I mean, it's our chance, but it's got to start with a win against Portland, who are confusing me because they literally beat one of the best teams in the league in Austin FC last night. So that's a different story.
Pretty good comment over here from Chris. It's not like Pineda's bought in on board because he would allow Pineda to be all up in his business. Boca wants a yes man that will allow him to have too much control over the club.
I think that's probably truer than people realize.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean,
I got a question really quick. This is on this topic. Should a technical director be helping choose the starting 11?
Not really.
I mean,
don't see why he has any decisions when it comes to really anything that happens within the field game wise.
Right. I mean, you would think the technical director's job was to, and I'm genuinely asking for a couple of reasons, but I mean, the technical director job, I think, is different at every club worldwide. I mean, I think they've all got a little bit of a difference, but I think for Atlanta, we typically look at that as being like the guy that's in charge of contract moves and scouting and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you have a coaching staff that's going to get together and choose the starting 11, right? Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah, but I feel like the more that we have the same manager every year, the more I feel like the cohesion between, those two guys, because we need to start seeing like Pineda system players, which hopefully aren't guys like Ronaldo Cisneros, but I feel like Pineda should, we should start getting the guys that he wants, and maybe they can work together. And I mean, he's the guy that builds the roster, so okay, Pineda. I think Pineda goes through his full contract, his full what? He's got 2 more years after this year. I think he goes through that. And, I don't see him going anywhere. I feel like this project is there for a reason, and it can only get better. And, I wanted an MLS guy, and that's what we get. And I hope we get an MLS guy with president and our new, I don't know, because don't some clubs have president? Is also their roster builder guy too?
Yeah.
I would like to do that, but obviously there's that business sort of standpoint with Atlanta United that's kind of unique, but I feel like more people that are in the league, especially with the league this tight and stuff. Maybe in the future we can get all those, flashy European guys when we have unlimited money to spend. But I mean, right now I feel like you want guys in the league, and you can tell by all the successful head coaches and front office. It's a lot of guys that have been in this league forever, and I feel like a guy like Fonseca. I mean, he would be great, obviously, but I just like how we went the MLS route for the first time ever. And
I mean, I'm good with that.
It hasn't. I agree, but I feel like in the future, especially more experience he gets, and with a guy like Valentino with him, I feel like there could be a bright future here with the staff.
I keep looking at him as now. Granted, we're only a few games into like the Premier League, but it'd be nice for him to be like the Mikel Arteta and come out next season and win the first 4 or 5 and actually look like a team.
I mean, that can happen because look at how Arsenal was last year.
That's what I'm saying. It's actually a similar scenario.
Or it could turn into Frank Lampard and just
that.
That's definitely something. But speaking of officiating in Premier League, I mean, their VAR system is terrible in England. I feel like there are a lot of like missed kind of calls there too, and I mean it's not perfect anywhere.
Yeah.
Just a quick comment on that. But.
Of course, the Manchester United guy. Nah, I'm just messing with you, man.
But like, I mean, their line system is very, very interesting.
I'm curious how they're going to do it with those the new balls that they're using in the World Cup with
What's that?
Mm.
The offside technology that's like built into the ball now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to work well.
I don't even know how that's like really like seriously how that's gonna play out with. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're being trained for it or something similar.
They can't even figure it out by looking at a freaking replay from like 18 different angles. I don't know how they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know who was the one that brought it up. I think one of you guys mentioned it on here, but on one of the chats somebody was mentioning it as well. Like the fact that sorry guys, freaking jets are going over the house, so if you hear something, it's is that. But when it comes to like the VAR, I just feel like they are just literally scared to admit that they were wrong, or whether it's offsides or red card, whatever. Like it just comes to that, dude. You're not gonna get every single call perfect. That's why VAR is for, so you could have something to rely on.
But there's no accountability. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Because nobody's there to hold them. I mean, if you look at pro, I mean, they may come out and put out like a tweet, and that's it, basically saying, "Oh yeah, we got it wrong." Period.
Yeah.
That's
Literally,
it. Like
that's
there's no discipline at all. It's just frustrating.
Yeah.
So we have 2018 MLS Cup rematch. Portland Timbers against Atlanta. Obviously they're at home. I forgot what time that game is.
I think it's 7.
It's on Sunday, isn't it?
No, it's
5.
It's
5, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably. I know it's on Fox. That's all I know. I know it's gonna be like national televised. So
great.
Hey man, I don't know if that's good or that's bad. I mean, with how
good for
poor
me.
we've been, I mean, we've been on national TV so much, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but I don't know, we're just there. That's all that matters. Damn man, so already throwing out the predictions, but 2-0 Timbers. I mean, man, I just think that honestly, man, and I mean, yeah, we're 3 points below the playoff line. I've already gave up hope that the playoffs were going to happen since mid July. And realistically, like, I mean, we just mentioned that we have not played with any chemistry or cohesion. Honestly, I just want something similar to what we played against when we played against DC, where you showed like literally 90 minutes of like the guys getting after the ball, winning 50-50 balls, just showing that, kind of, just the willingness to like basically get the result, whether, we tie, whether we lose. I just don't, I just don't want the second half of like Philly, where we kind of lost hope, lost, just the willingness to like want to play or get after the ball. Just everything overall just seemed like it fell down in the second half. Whether they're down 2 goals, 3 goals, or whatever the case may be. I mean, I just hope that we see a complete, like, or somewhat of a complete performance.
Yeah, and I feel like that entails getting ahead or, being at a draw standpoint where you don't have to throw in, 3 attacking subs at the same time. But yeah, we've never lost to Portland. 2 wins, 2 draws. I mean, we played them in 2019. We won, and then MLS Cup. So this is a team we played pretty good against like 3 years ago.
And they're kind of wishy-washy right now too. I mean,
I mean, looking at their stats against Austin FC, they had 29% possession, which is
poor. Damn,
Pineda Wonderland, dude. I mean, Austin had 70%. Oh my goodness! But Portland still had 2.
I could definitely see that happening against us. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they had. Oh my gosh, they had a 69% passing accuracy, and they still won with 29% possession.
They've also won some pretty tough games recently, but they've been like they might be on a run now, but
yeah, they were terrible.
They haven't been great. So
no. I mean,
there's potential.
It's definitely a team we can catch out. I mean, they lost 4-1 to KC. I mean, I don't know, man. This league is just inconsistent. That's basically
because they're above the playoff line now too. I believe. I think they're right.
Yeah, they're just
above it. Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time we've gotten a penalty though? Who's like that's another random thought because I remember that penalty.
The one that Moreno missed back, like I think against Nashville or.
Wow.
No, that was against Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, the 0-0. That was the. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Damn, dude, that was like what, like June or something?
I feel like we're like a team that.
I think that was May.
I feel like we get penalties pretty often, but this year it's.
Yeah, there's been nothing this year.
Not enough diving, I guess.
And that's a really good like kind of like observation because it kind of goes to show like guys are not like kind of dribbling into the box as I guess
we're just not in the box ever.
That's also another thing. Yeah, you just don't have any supporting runs coming in from your midfielders or the winger from the other side or whoever's playing at up top. Something that and I mean James, you brought this up last week and the videos that the one video that we showed or no, we actually did not show the one where Campbell's like up pressing, but that was against that game against Austin and kind of saw the same thing yesterday. You literally have 3 guys pressing one person that's on the ball, and literally, obviously, you're giving up like so much space. And I don't remember exactly who it was. All I know is, I mean, I don't know whether that kind of falls like. I mean, it's partially obviously the coaching and partially the players, but I don't know like what percentage that really comes down to. But players, I mean, it just happens so often, and that's what kind of I was getting into earlier, where is the individual mistakes. Like you just feel like the guys don't have like they don't have the concentration at times to where you think that all right, they know like how a play could eventually like play out basically, but you just don't see that. You just don't see the intuition that from the defensive stand of view, basically point of view, where they're able to pick out these passes. I was actually really surprised yesterday with how Lennon, he was pretty, good at reading a couple of plays. I don't know if it was him or somebody else that cleared that one like right off the
Lennon's
line
our
as
new
well.
goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean that was crazy.
He cleared that one
Yeah.
off the line.
Yeah, so I mean, there's times where he hasn't, he hasn't been the best, but I mean, I'll give him that yesterday. He was definitely, showing out
He's been
on
good
the
since he
defensive.
came back from his injury, I think.
Yeah, definitely better than we expected him.
Yeah, way better than he was before, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
he was consistent, but he was just predictable, I think. And I think he's added something. I don't know what it is. I think it's hard to pinpoint, but I mean, he's not afraid to defend. Of course, that's technically his primary responsibility, but you know what you're going to get when he makes the runs forward. And they've at least been much more accurate. He's been doing something different. I don't think him and Araujo have any chemistry at all, but he's out there and he's trying to make something happen. He looks to me kind of like Gutman. They're playing for the badge at least, and I mean right now that's about all you can ask for.
Yeah, I mean with Brooks Lennon, Doug told us like a week ago or whatever. He's like Brooks Lennon has been playing the balls. It's just the guys just aren't in the box, aren't where they're supposed to be. And then the next game against DC, he freaking gets 2 assists on great balls. But watching this goal back that you're talking about, I mean, it's just a bunch of guys clumped in the same area, and I mean they didn't defend it poorly. It's just no one got there in time to block the shot, and then Novo's obviously his positioning on that was pretty abysmal, but
it was bad.
I don't know. That wasn't the worst goal that happened. The worst one probably is the corner kick where you just let the ball or whatever it was just run through your whole team. That was pretty embarrassing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Pretty good comment here from Zelf. When it comes to like Almada, at times like I kind of saw that yesterday where he was literally getting the ball like right in the middle of the field, and somebody or one or two players came and pressed him and literally had to pass the ball back. Like he was not really able to pick out any like those passes in between the lines as he's able to do usually.
Yeah, I mean Almada's pretty kind of key defender too in the midfield. I mean, he works hard to try and get the ball back, but I liked going back to that play with Wiley where Wiley destroyed that guy and then got the ball into him. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the position he's been in all year, sitting on the top of the box. Yeah, I mean the whole midfield sits on the top of the box and passes around and do nothing. But I mean, I saw that game; they were making pretty good runs. It's just I don't know. I don't remember the second half because literally nothing happened, and I was freaking tired. But I mean, it's yeah.
I mean, to his point, I think the team's set up to do that, but they're doing the opposite.
Yeah.
They're trying to force a 9 to do something, and we don't have any 9s that are consistently doing anything.
Exactly. Which leaves a whole question mark for who comes out of the starting 11. Because I feel like defensively and in the midfield, we might see Sadic back in there. But, I mean, the attack's really a question mark. And I think Edward Mosquera or someone like that could break into the lineup. But I don't think Araujo's played bad. I think he should continue to start.
I would, if we're going to consistently stick with what we're trying to do, I say screw the rest of them and put Araujo up top if you're going to have a 9.
Sure.
Like, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Just put a bunch of pace. Throw Edwin out there too. I mean,
yeah.
You got to try something. With
something's got to happen different. Like we've been saying that for so long, and we're not. Nothing is sticking. You haven't stuck together 2 wins in a row all season. So like, you go in the right direction, kind of, but it's not consistent. So like, you're gonna have to figure out something totally different. I mean, you've got certain talent, and you're forcing a square peg in a round hole at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's just narrow starts, man. I don't even know.
I mean, look at what Austin did, man. I mean, they got Josh Wolf, their head coach. I mean, he's a young coach as well, and I don't know if it was him or somebody when it came to the what's it called, the coaching staff or whatever. John Gallagher. I mean, they turned him into a fullback, and the guy has absolutely killed it. I mean, it's things like that where you kind of gotta literally come up with something. I mean, not something ridiculously stupid, but I mean, you just literally got to try something different. Positioning. I mean, these guys have the time. I mean, Araujo, yeah, he's one of the guys that I feel like he's able to play any position up top, left, right, or middle. So I definitely don't see him struggling whenever it comes to him adapting to any position, basically.
But I mean, to be fair, I mean, Pineda's gutsy move to put Gutman at center back is absolutely paid off, which I thought would be the dumbest thing ever. But the first time he did it against Cincinnati, it worked, and he kept going with it, and it's continuing to work. But
yeah,
there's
I did think that was pretty stupid too.
I think it makes everybody but surprised, though. That's what's so good about it, because I mean, you look at what Jim Curtin said last night after the match about a bunch of individual guys that are going out playing, because that's what they are. They're not a team right now. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody had Andrew Gutman playing as a center back that can freely roam wherever he wants to on their bingo card at all. And it's worked. The dude has found himself. But the thing is, even before his injury, he was still finding himself like in the 6-yard box all the time, and he couldn't put away a sitter. And then he comes back from injury, and he's, now he's scored 3 goals. And I just think something, because I've heard arguments. Me and Doug had a conversation about this at the training ground, where he was like, they keep playing people out of position. And I'm like, I think they got to try something different at this point, because you've got to, like, what you're doing is not working consistently. So you've got a bunch of guys that Araujo, perfect example. He needs to be on the field, yes. And I think I don't know if it was on here or Space's show like a month ago that I mentioned it, but Araujo plays so much better for the team when he's on the left-hand side, because he doesn't feel like he has to use his left foot to score from 25 yards out. He uses his left foot, which is obviously his prominent, dominant foot, to open up guys and make beautiful passes and assists. And he just works better over there for what this team's designed for. So I like in the second half when that switch is made. A lot of times you see Mosquera and him swapping back and forth. He just looks better on the left. So start him there. Let him do something different.
Yeah.
Definitely agree on that, man. Yeah. Now, I think pretty much we've kind of hit over everything that I have on here. The Philly game, DC, also the Timbers game. I think we kind of talked about this, but like when it comes to like the president role, and anybody that's on here commenting as well, when it comes to like the kind of like vision or like the philosophy that you want Atlanta United to have, what would you guys rather have? Do you be the team that brings in young talents and tries to cash in, or go LAFC mode and just try to get big name stars and this guy is dumb, but yeah, just what personally, what are your likes on what, or like your wants when it comes to like the presidential role?
I think if you're going to consider, like, okay, if whatever the new president, his mindset is, if he comes in and he wants to stick with trying to flip players and be, business oriented, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, I think the entire identity of trying to, I try my best, Zilf. And yes, the next thing, how about I braid it? I might braid. I look like a Viking. I've spent too long on this thing, man. I don't know. I might, if they win the cup, I'll do it. But no, if the president comes in and wants to stick with like, buying these younger guys, trying to do something with them and then flipping them, the entire identity of the club has to be very much opposite of what Pineda's trying to do. Pineda likes to play this play out of the back, possession based, like control the ball, trying to be Pep Guardiola. Well, I'll hold myself to it, Zilf.
Yeah, winning the cup.
This is saved on YouTube, man, so it ain't going nowhere.
We're gonna win the cup, guys.
If Pineda wants to stick with that, he can't have a bunch of young guys. You have to be very disciplined to play that type of style. You have to have the talent. And it is so hard in MLS to be able to bring in that consistent type of talent. So if you're going to have a bunch of young guys, let them just run loose and maybe not be so focused on possessing the ball all the time. Let them break on the counter and do what they do best as young players. I just think that having the business mindset of trying to flip young players and having Pineda's style of trying to be very possession based and play beautiful football. And it's beautiful when it works, but it's not working. So I just don't think those fit together. I like the idea of bringing in guys and selling them and maybe, peppering in a few MLS veterans to make things work. But you're never going to get the quality. Like, I mean, you look at the second half last night. I don't know what the percentage of the passes were in the first half compared to the second half, but it dropped immensely when the subs came in, and it looked rough. That's what you're going to get with young guys that are just not as clean on the ball. But you have to have that to be able to play the style of football that Pineda wants to play.
Yeah, I just, the question mark for me is what this president's role is going to be in the club, because, we don't know if he's going to be a Darren Eales or he's going to be a guy who does everything, including roster building. So I have no clue. Yeah, I enjoy our superstar players, though, our South American Player of the Year guys. And, it's certainly been a success. I mean, we've turned them basically all for profit except Barco, which is a freaking huge question mark this winter on what's going to happen. Because I don't think River Plate, right, will pick them up. But that's a whole.
You also loan them out again, though, because I think it's a 2-year loan.
Oh, is it 2 years?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, well, we'll just deal with it next year then. And but yeah, I just don't know what we're looking for in a guy, and what the responsibilities will be. But I mean, I feel like I like getting these European rejects because I mean, Araujo's kind of won and he hasn't worked out. But I feel like I like more Joseph Martinez guys who are committed to the club and what we want to do. I feel like would be more useful going forward. But it's obviously nice to get, a kid who's going to be looked at as a chance to be one of the world's best, elite players in the future, which is fantastic. But, I think guys that are committed to the club are more valuable.
I agree.
All right, guys. Well,
I'll put one last thing in there. If it were my choice, because we're playing devil's advocate, if it were my choice, Atlanta's got enough money. They don't need to be a business. I mean, you've got Arthur Blank. Like, you don't need to – some clubs admittedly have to treat it like a business, and that's fine. But you don't need that. Like, bring in the guys that are going to work for the club and just – okay, my bad. I thought it was 2. But yeah, I mean, bring in the guys that are gonna work together. That's all I want. I don't care. Make them win.
Yeah. Guys that are committed.
I don't care if you lose money on them eventually. Like, you shouldn't if you're winning. That's the thing too. People don't realize, like, you can bring in a bunch of cheap guys and they win, and all of a sudden their value skyrockets. So you're making money anyway.
Yeah.
Score predictions. Is this a must-win game, really? If you draw this game, do you think there's a chance? Because this is a team you should capitalize on. But I mean, obviously we have all these Eastern Conference opponents, but I feel like if that playoff line moves from 36 to 38, which I think it will this weekend, or probably 39 or 40, but I mean, is this a game that you necessarily need to go in saying we need to win this game like DC? Because that's kind of what I'm stuck on. Or could you get a draw and then have every single game basically be like, yeah, we got to win this one?
I was definitely going to say that.
They've needed to win every game for the past few.
We're only 3 off.
I think that ever since August hit in Seattle, I think that was that very first game that you were like, it was a must win. We won. And I think it was kind of like, all right, a little bit of hope. Then I don't remember who we played after. I think it was the Red Bulls or somebody. And yeah, I definitely agree with Soph. I mean, we got to that point of the season where like the last 10 games basically were like you have to pick up points. You have to, a draw is not bad depending on like how you basically perform throughout the game. But given the fact that Atlanta have literally one of probably the toughest like 10 games in this in MLS in the remainder of the season, they are must wins. Fortunate for them, you know, some results have kind of gone in their favor and basically every single week. So still only 3 points.
If you want to keep it in your hands, it's a must win. I mean, you might get lucky again for like the 12th week in a row with other results going your way, but if you want to take matters into your own hands, you've got to win. You've got to win the rest of them.
Well, I was looking at the disciplinary, like guys that need one more yellow card, and last night Williamson for Portland got a yellow card, so I think he might be suspended. I was just looking at that because I always look at it every week. I haven't looked at it yet, but I mean that's a guy who had an assist last night and apparently was man of the match for them, which could be something. But
yeah,
I feel like
we're rain delayed too. Not that, I mean, it's not a huge difference, but you got a late night. I mean, looking in Atlanta, they're training tomorrow in Philly, and their media availability is at 1:30, which is it's obviously on Zoom. And then they apparently, I guess, they're traveling tomorrow night because Saturday they're training in Portland, and then the match is obviously Sunday. So
I just, you know, if we're drawing or winning at halftime, I feel like that's where we can put ourselves in the best position, where we can see better changes, where we don't have to throw players out there and we can put ourselves in the best position to win. And I mean, this game could literally go either way.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to predict it. I don't care. But, you know, I hope we win. And I think we have the ability to win, but Portland also have just as much an ability to win. It's just two teams fighting for a spot, and it's all up in arms now.
2-2 draw.
Yeah, I feel that.
I say 2-2. I don't see nothing crazy.
I would love to.
Well, guys, we've hit the hour mark on here. So, before we head off, I mean, don't forget to subscribe. Fila Sports Podcast. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Give these guys a follow as well. Tyler Pilgrim, he's on Twitter, ATL Pilgrim. James, he's Caudo Miss 26. Tommy, Let's Go Ducks 96. He left a little bit early, but you know, give him a follow as well. So we'll see you guys next week. Wednesdays at 8, obviously, is, you know, our normal time, but we had a game last night, so kind of we pushed it back a day. And I'm gonna start, you know, announcing this because obviously I've literally had a lot of people hit me up about basically doing a Spanish version of the podcast, which that's gonna be coming up. But until next season, basically, you know, we've only got a few games left, so I mean, I'll start announcing that, you know, eventually on social media more and more. So we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for, you know, the guys that are always on here commenting, you know, with the comments, the questions, the predictions, everything. So let me go ahead and end this thing, y'all.